Let's look at the DQMH shipping examples. The way to find them is you go to Help, Find Examples, and then there's two ways to find them. You either go directly to the browse and go to Fundamentals, Loops and Structures, and there it is. Or you go to Search and search for DQMH, and there they are. We have 3 DQMH modules here. Now, if you are opening a new project that uses DQMH, my advice is to go and look at the testers, because that will show you what the end use of the module is. So the first module that we have is a thermal chamber controller, DQMH. And if I go to its tester, I can see that when I start and show the module panel, I have a DQMH module that shows the front panel of a temperature chamber. I can do different things with this module. From the tester, I can change my set point. You can see that that changed the set point here. It also changed it on the front panel of the DQMH. I also got some information on the status of what happened. I can change the rate, and I can do the changes if I want directly on the front panel of the DQMH as well. And the tester gets the feedback too. Okay. I can turn on the heater. I can turn off the heater. Stop the module. I could start it again and show it again, and it starts from the beginning, or I can just stop. So that's what my thermal chamber controller DQMH module does. Now let's look at the device under test. The device under test is a clonable module. That means I can have more than one instance running. So if I run different instances of them, I can show them all. So here's my number 2, number 3, and number 4. I can either talk to all of them at the same time, or I can do it one by one. So let's say I want to go to number 2, which is the top one on the right there, and I want to power it off, power it on, self-test. And you can see we have it programmed to 80% pass rate, so sometimes it fails, sometimes it doesn't. But you can see that there's a communication, and on my status, I get information of what's going on. I can go to the third unit under test and decide I just want to stop that instance completely, and that removes it. Now I only have my 2 and my 3. And that's pretty much it. So once I stop, if I say to stop them all, I can stop them all at the same time. Right? So that's my tester for the clonable module. We have a third DQMH module, and you can see that the tester is really not operable. And the reason for this is we had to modify a little bit how the start module works. And the main purpose of this module is if you are working with teststand. So if you are using LabVIEW only and you're not using teststand, you don't have to worry about this. So that's it. That's the general description of what this code does. Let's look at our 3 simple example VIs. If I open the thermal chamber controller VI and I look at the block diagram, there's really not much going on. I am starting my module and synchronizing my events, showing my panel, updating the set point, updating the ramp rate, enabling the heater, and then just staying on a while loop until the temperature reaches the desired temperature. So if I run it, you'll see that the DQMH module came up, and we have the 75 and the 10 that we requested it to have. And when we get to 75, it's going to stop. And that's what happened. So this shows that your calling code doesn't have to be a DQMH, doesn't even have to have an event structure. So the API tester here serves as a way, as an example on knowing how to use the different VIs on my DQMH module. So for example, if I go to find the start module, you'll see that what I need to start the module are those VIs. But since I don't have an event structure, we are not doing the register for events, but we are calling the start module, and we are calling the synchronize module events. And that's what I'm doing over here. Then I knew that I wanted to show my panel, so I go to show module panel, and I know that that's the VI that I need to call. And that's the VI that we're calling here. If I want to set the set point, I find it here, and I find it here. And I know that I need to give it the temperature, and that's what I'm giving it here. When we change the ramp rate, same thing. I know this is the VI that I have to call, so that's the VI that I call. And then when we operate on the furnace heater, I either enable via the enable heater or I disable, and that's what I'm calling here. And then on the, I told you that we're using the synchronous method. So if I find the terminal here, we are doing a request and wait for reply. So the status comes directly on the reply, and that's what I did here. Just call that code. Okay, so that's it. The second example, it's a little bit more complex. Now we are calling the same code that you saw on the first simple example, plus calling the code for the unit under test. And on this case, we are running the unit under test is a clonable module, and we are starting it to start the module, show its panel, set the power state to on, perform a self-test, leave some time so we can see what happened, turn off, and then stop both modules. Okay, so let's first run it, and like we said, we are going to see the same thing that we saw before. We're going to wait until this gets to 75, and when it reaches temperature, we're going to launch our unit under test and run the self-test. The self-test is programmed to pass 80% of the time, so you know, if you run it several times, you might get a couple of times you're going to get a false here. Same thing as with the singleton, we can use the tester as a way of knowing how to use our DQMH module. So if I know how I want to start it, I go to the tester, go to the run module instance, find my terminal, and I can see that I need a start module and a synchronized module events. Since I don't have an event structure, I don't need the event structure in here. Then I want to show my panel, so same thing as we did before. I go to show module panel, and I know that that's the VI that I need to call, and I need to tell it what's the current module ID. And then set the power state, same thing. If I do power on, find terminal, I can see that that's the VI that I want to call. And then I wait 2 seconds, and then I set it off again, stop module. So this is a quick description of our code. And then finally, our third example is the thermal chamber controller with multiple units under test. We're going to just run 2 for now, so we don't have to stay here for a long time. You're going to see same thing. We run the first test as we had it, and now the same code that we had on the second simple example, but this time we're putting in a for loop and generating as many instances as we need. So if I run the code, we're going to get our temperature, wait until it gets to 75, and then we're going to get our units under test, and we're going to get 2 showing up. So we are going to get 1 and 2. Okay, so those are the examples. If you go to the modules themselves, to the main VI, we have added links to this video. We also added all of these how-to, so we can explain you how each one of these event cases got created. So that way you can, start a new project and start following the instructions on each one of these cases and create your own module or start understanding how this module got created. All the magic, as you can see there, happens as tools, Delacore, DQMH, and creating new events. So hopefully this is enough information for you to go and explore the LabVIEW examples.